Yes, Chair. You can speak now. We are live on YouTube.
Thank you. I'm sharing my screen. Now we are starting this formal session with the roll call. Delegates are reminded to raise their hands when their country's name is called and respond with present or present and voting. Afghanistan.
Present.
Australia.
Present voting.
Brazil. Bulgaria. Canada. China.
Present.
Denmark. Egypt.
Present.
France.
Present.
Germany. Greece. Hungary. India.
Present.
Iran. Israel.
Present.
Japan. Republic of South Korea.
Present.
Netherlands.
Present.
New Zealand. Norway. Pakistan. Poland.
Present.
Romania.
Present.
Russian Federation. Saudi Arabia.
Present.
Sweden.
Present.
Turkmenistan. Ukraine.
Present.
United Kingdom.
Present.
United States of America. We are moving with the general speakers list. Are there any delegates who are wishing to add their name to general speakers list? Please raise your hand now.
South Korea. Australia.
Yes. Any other delegates? If not, we are choosing randomly. Please speak
Afghanistan,
willingly.
followed by China, followed by Romania.
That's it for now. As promised, Republic of South Korea. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. We think a lot of delegates just don't truly understand how disarmament works, and they think that you can just ban the weapons. If that were true, this issue wouldn't be existing right now. Firstly, we think that we need to strengthen our defense initiations because of the North Korea's ideological policy that is ongoing. We're under a serious threat. The Japanese government and South Korean government suggested defense initiation to be established in the region to avoid nuclear warfare. Also, we should discuss upon the raw materials of these nuclear weapons. Eliminating the current nuclear weapons wouldn't help if we don't control the raw materials of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
We would like to yield it back to the chair.
Thank you. As promised, Australia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Australia is involved in numerous bilateral, plurilateral, and multilateral treaties and arrangements which seek to reduce or eliminate certain categories of nuclear weapons and to prevent the proliferation of such weapons and their delivery vehicles. Australia constantly works to promote support for the NPT throughout the work of the cross-regional non-proliferation and disarmament initiative, progressing nuclear disarmament verification and promoting risk reduction measures such as transparency and confidence building to underpin practical progress towards disarmament. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Afghanistan, you have been recognized. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. The use and possession of nuclear weapons are prohibited under international law. However, several nations continue to maintain nuclear weapons. They might say it's for protection and control, but no one should be in such control that they can kill thousands of innocent people. We know that banning all nuclear weapons at once would be hard, almost impossible, but we can try to make the possession of nuclear weapons low as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
Yield the floor to Chair.
Thank you. As promised, China, you've been recognized. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. We do think we are making progress. We'd like to ask other delegates to be more active. Thanks.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
Yield it to the Chair.
Thank you. Romania, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. As a Romanian state, we dream of a world without nuclear weapons, and we use nuclear energy only for civilian purposes. The effects of nuclear energy when misused can be disastrous, as in Mayak, Chernobyl, and Fukushima. Our request is that all countries with nuclear plants to use their power plants carefully and use them only for civilian purposes. If we can implement them, we can get rid of nuclear risks. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
We would like to yield our time to the Chair.
Thank you. The floor is once again open. Are there any points? Are there any points? Seems none. Are there any motions on the floor?
Motion.
Motion, France.
Motion to discuss about punishment of nuclear pollution.
Total time?
10 minutes.
Individual speaking time?
45 seconds.
Could you write it in chat?
Okay.
Delegates, please write your motions when you say them. Are there any motions? China.
Motion to discuss securing the nuclear explosive materials from criminal organizations.
Total time being?
10 minutes, individual time being 1 minute.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any motions on the floor? Seems none. Are there any seconds for France motions? Punishment of nuclear pollution. Are there any seconds to this motion? Are there any seconds? 11. Are there any objections? Please raise your hands now. Are there any objections? 3. Seems both. Now we are voting upon the motion given by France. All those in favor, please raise their hands now. All those in favor. All those in favor. 6, 7, 8. All those against, please raise your hands now. All those against. Five. This motion clearly passes by the majority of the votes. Now we are discussing upon the motion given by France. Punishment of nuclear pollution. Total time being 10 minutes. Individual speaking time being 45 seconds. As a proposer of this motion, would you like to be the first or the last speaker, Delegate of France?
First speaker, please.
Then you can speak now.
Thank you, Chair. Damage to the environment caused by nuclear sources can continue for years. This requires terror sanctions. Serious and deterrent sanctions should be applied to the countries that create this problem. In this way, nuclear risks can be reduced. Restrictions on international trade, economic embargoes, and bans from some international activities may be imposed. This is a serious issue and its various sanctions should be decided. We have presented a few sanction proposals and we would like to get the opinions of other countries. Joint penalties and restrictions should be decided and implemented as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion given by France? Please raise your hands now. Are there any other delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion given by France? Raise your hands now. Ukraine. Followed by China. Followed by... Seems none. Ukraine, you can speak now.
Thank you, Chair. The most preventive punishment that can be applied for this is an international apology that the faulty country which is cause of nuclear waste will say to the world. In a material sanction regarding the activities, it will entail to clean up the nuclear waste as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, China, you may speak now.
Thank you, Chair. We think we should keep a close eye on the countries that produces nuclear waste, not only by nuclear weapons, but with reactors and accidents such as the explosion in Fukushima or Chernobyl. We don't think any country can have rights to dump their waste on our oceans. Even if they are said to be treated, waters around South China Sea and Chinese Taipei are precious economic zones. And by nuclear waste, other countries are damaging our economic zones. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion given by France? Please raise your hands now. Are there any other delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion? Seems none. We are waiting for a specific motion to determine the current caucus. Are there any motions?
Motion.
Motion South Korea.
Motion to terminate this current motion.
Are there any seconds to South Korea's motion? Please raise your hands now.
11, 13.
Are there any objections? Are there any objections?
1.
No, none. This motion passes. Now the floor is open. I'm once again opening the general speakers list. Are there any delegates who are wishing to add their name to the speakers list? Please raise your hand now. Sweden, followed by... If not, we are choosing randomly. Are there any delegates who are wishing to add their name to the general speakers list? Please raise your hand. Seems none. Saudi Arabia. Co-chair?
Netherlands.
Romania.
United Kingdom.
As promised, Sweden, you have the floor.
Thank you. Nuclear energy is powerful than we thought. Nuclear energy now provides about 10% of the world's electricity from about 440 power reactors. Nuclear is the world's second largest source of low carbon power. Over 50 countries utilize nuclear energy in about 220 research reactors. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
Yield the floor to Chair.
Thank you. As promised, Saudi Arabia. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. A nuclear weapon is a useless formula to inflict death or harm on humans. These weapons pose a serious threat to humans, animals, and nature. Although many international attempts have been made to ban the use of nuclear weapons in the world, these weapons, which have been used for mass killings in wars for centuries, still continue to take lives. We are aware of the seriousness of this issue, and we know nuclear weapons are very deadly and dangerous. We are absolutely against these and similar weapons. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
We would like to yield our time to the chair.
Thank you. Delegate of Netherlands, you've been recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As outlined in Secretary General's agenda for disarmament, some developments in the field of science and technology pose risks to the maintenance of international peace and security, respect for international humanitarian and human rights law. The city and other disarmament forum and the treaty bodies should adopt a flexible approach in addressing these issues, including to the negotiation of disarmament measures other than legally binding instruments, such as code of conduct, principle, and guidelines. While the Netherlands is convinced that the city should make further progress by focusing on substance, it is also clear that we need to adopt the disarmament measures to address contemporary and future challenges. Thank you. Yield the floor to the chair, please.
Thank you, dear delegate. The floor is once again open. Are there any points? Are there any points? Seems not. Are there any motions on the floor?
Motion China.
Motion China.
Motion to discuss about securing the nuclear explosive materials from criminal organizations.
Are there any other motions?
Motion Ukraine.
Motion Ukraine.
A motion for studies on prevention of nuclear waste.
Are there any other motions? Seems none. We are voting upon the motion given by China. Can you write that to chat? China, can you write your motion to chat? And I forgot to ask time. China, what is the total time?
10 minutes, 1 minute individual.
Ukraine?
10 minutes for total and 50 seconds for individual speaking time.
Thank you. We're voting upon the China's motion, which is to discuss securing the nuclear explosive materials from criminal organizations. Are there any seconds to this motion?
Twelve.
Are there any objections? Are there any objections?
One objection. None.
Are there any objections? Raise your hand, please. Seems none. This motion passes. I can open the chat. Can you tell me the motion, please, co-chair?
The China's motion, right?
Yes.
To discuss securing the nuclear explosive materials from criminal organizations.
Can you take it slow? Securing the, wait a minute. Securing the nuclear
explosive materials from criminal organizations.
Total time being 10. Individual speaking time, 1 minute. As the proposer of this motion, would you like to be the first or the last speaker? Delegate of China.
First, please.
You can speak now.
Thank you. We must move cautious against non-states groups that allegedly have nuclear arsenal. Whatever the group is, we can't just accuse them, since in the past, accusations only caused nuclear crisis between two or more states. Securing the securing the arsenal of countries such as Pakistan, India, and Israel are crucial for us. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon the motion given by China? South Korea, followed by Australia, followed by United Kingdom,
France, Sweden,
second. South Korea, Australia, can you say them again?
France, South Korea, Australia, France, United Kingdom, Sweden.
Thank you. As promised, South Korea, you may speak now.
Thank you, Chair. The hurdles for terrorists to get a nuclear weapon are extremely high, but the probability of terrorist use of such a weapon is therefore extremely low. To build nuclear weapons is a difficult task, even for countries. Iraq tried it 15 years ago with a project on a scale of 10 billion US dollars and 7,000 employees and did not succeed. Moreover, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the main pillar of nuclear proliferation, has been strengthened and safeguards have been improved since. We still think that the raw materials of nuclear weapons should be under a stricter surveillance. Like we stated, there isn't a big chance they could be bombed. However, if they get possessed by a criminal organization, and the possession of such materials are extremely dangerous due to the fact that even if the nuclear weapons are not launched, they can be exploded in production and the maintenance stage. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, Australia, you may speak now.
Thank you, Chair. Australia strongly support efforts under those conventions to rid the world of nuclear weapons. Australia does not possess nuclear weapons and is not at all known to be seeking to develop them. If you don't have weapons, no one can access them. If you have nuclear weapons, you have to have very strict security applications. For example, those weapons can be stored as parts in different areas of the country. They shouldn't be ready to use. Also, those weapons must have 4 or more steps to activate. So if criminals access nuclear explosives, they will not be able to use them. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, France, you may speak now.
Thank you, Chair. There are important precautions to be taken in this regard. The detection, production, and stocking of material purchase point of these weapons should be kept under control. Materials taken illegally should be controlled in this way. Nuclear sludge production centers should only be located where the government has permission, and illegally open centers should be identified. Determinations may not be made exactly, but certain permission documents may be kept in legal centers. In this way, it may be easier to find the legal centers without a permit. We welcome the opinions of other countries on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, United Kingdom, you can speak now.
Nuclear explosive materials are pretty dangerous and can cause really serious casualties if they get in contact with criminal organizations. We propose that we train special teams of soldiers just to protect these weapons. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, Sweden, you may speak now.
Thank you. Criminal organizations' nuclear access is a very important issue and it must count heavily crime. For detect to these organizations, we need more research permits for getting information. We must increase penalties and audits. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion? Please raise your hands now.
We can add Poland. Poland by Netherlands.
Netherlands. Any other delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion, please raise your hands now. As promised, Poland. You can speak now.
Poland.
Thank you. As Poland, we think that the elements that the uranium and plutonium that use the nuclear weapons should be I need a
Okay, I can pause.
We need to protect these elements better. We need to protect these elements.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, Netherlands. You can speak now.
Thank you, Chair. Regulations set guidelines for packaging, inventory management, and stock taken to help prevent theft and illegal transfer of stockpiles. For example, the labels on the ammunition and its packaging provide information needed to properly store, handle, and transport munitions, should assist in understanding the characteristics of the ammunition, and it should help determine correct record keeping and control methods. If these methods are applied in addition to an effective accounting system, deficits, loss, and theft will occur immediately. Good accounting also acts as a deterrent because potential thieves and staff know that theft will be noticed immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion given by China? Please raise your hands now. Afghanistan. Followed by?
No one.
No one. Afghanistan, you can speak now.
Thank you, Chair. As Poland said, uranium and plutonium should be protected as they're richly used in nuclear bombs and nuclear weapons. To make sure those substances are not being used in nuclear weapons, we think all countries should sign a contract to not sell these substances, and selling them to criminal organizations should have high penalties. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion given by China? Raise your hand now. China. Afghanistan again? Or did you forget?
We're sorry. It's a misunderstanding.
China, you can speak now.
Thank you. You must take action as fast as possible. Think about terrorist groups as an infant with a loaded gun. The probability of said groups finding a way to make or even use them are low, as South Korean delegate said. But these weapons of mass destruction are still dangerous. In order to prevent this, we should heavily protect the weapons of Israel, Pakistan, India, and allegedly Syria and Iran. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who are wishing to speak upon this motion? Please raise your hands now.
We can add Poland again.
Okay. Poland, you may speak now.
Uranium and plutonium that use the nuclear weapons productions should be better protected, and who buy this should be listed. People who buy these elements should be listed. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Are there any delegates who want to speak upon this motion given by China? Please raise your hands now. Seems none. We are waiting for a specific motion to end this current caucus. Are there any motions?
Motion.
Motion South Korea.
Motion to terminate this current motion.
Are there any seconds? Please raise your hands now.
12 seconds for now. 13.
Are there any objections?
Objections.
Seems we have both. Now we are voting. All those in favor, please raise your hands now. All those in favor. All those in favor. Well, all those against, please raise your hands now. All
Seems
those
none.
against. Seems none, this motion passes. The current caucus has been determined. We are once again opening the general speakers list. As promised, Romania, you've been recognized. You have the floor. Romania, you have the floor. You are muted.
Thank you, Chair. We share the same opinions with Sweden. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
We would like to yield our time to the Chair.
Thank you. As promised, United Kingdom, the floor is yours. United Kingdom, you're expected to be on the floor.
United Kingdom just left.
Okay, there might be an issue with the internet. Are there any delegates who are wishing to add their name to the GSL? Please raise your hands now. Sweden, followed by? If there's none, we are choosing randomly, remember that. Egypt, followed by
Ukraine.
Ukraine, followed by India. As promised, Sweden, you have the floor.
Thank you. More nuclear reactors mean more nuclear waste, but we can reduce that nuclear waste with true waste destruction. There is no way to destruct nuclear waste completely, but nuclear waste have a intensive radiation, so burial in a deep geological repository is a choice for long-term storage of high-level radiation waste. But if we want a better choice for nature, we should use transformation and reuse these methods, reducing radiation level and have a least risk for nature. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. As promised, Egypt, you have the floor.
By now, we all know the dangers of nuclear weapons, and we all know that it isn't easy to completely eliminate the weapons, and it's a little bit of an unrealistic task to hold this armament. But we are, how do I say it? Thanks.
No, you can continue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
I don't know what to say. I want to yield the floor to the chair.
Thank you. As promised, Ukraine, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to talk about health problems caused by nuclear weapons because although nuclear weapons are an urgent problem in the world and require serious decision to be taken, in our opinion, the main problem that we need to focus on is the health problems caused by nuclear weapons because when the years have passed, we still the effects in different parts of the world and it should be solution. It find be the solution of different ways. We think. Thank you.
Thank you, dear delegate. Please pay attention to using third pronouns. As promised, India, you have the floor.
Thank you. We think that the key solution to all this chaos is that not to attack, and countries with weapons of mass destruction should also use their weapons for different purposes. If the gun-owning countries use the guns they produce for domestic consumption, they will have an advantage on behalf of their own country.
Thank you, dear delegate. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
We would like to yield our time to Chair.
Thank you. The floor is once again open. Are there any points? Are there any motions? Are there any motions?
Motion South Korea.
Motion for an unmoderated caucus to start working on our working papers.
Are there any other motions? Can you say the total time? South Korea.
Total time being 10 minutes.
Thank you. Are there any motions? Seems none. We are voting upon the motion given by South Korea. Motion to unmoderated caucus to work upon the working paper. Total time, 10 minutes. Are there any seconds to this motion given by South Korea? Are there any objections? Are there any objections?
Seems none.
Seems none. This motion clearly passes. Now you are in unmoderated caucus for 10 minutes. You are free. You can speak with whoever you want. You must speak English.
How do we start? Okay. I'm opening a Google Documents. Okay. I will share the link in just a second. Okay. I shared the link in the group.
Can you share it in the chat?
I can't.
There's no problem with that. I can share the dock screen or this XMUN screen. Which one do you want?
This screen can stay, I guess.
Okay.
Everyone will have their own, So I've written some, I've started it a little bit, but it's in a resolution format. So what do you want to do? Should we write in a resolution format or should we just write the solutions on it and do the draft resolution later?
Guys, everyone free to speak. Please interact, speak.
We think we should do it like a draft resolution later.
Oh, shit. Okay, but like it will be hard. It will be hard to just delete it and write a resolution all over. In this way, we can just save time.
As your chair, I recommend you to write it on resolution format, so it's easier to write the resolution.
Yeah.
Well, if it's easier, then
we
let's
don't
go
have
that way.
to like go advanced in this, since we're gonna add some things in resolution, but we need to just be general about this. Like you can just look at here. Sorry, I just spoke Turkish. Okay. So you should look at the preambulatory clauses. Search it up. I'm gonna write it on chat. Wait. Wait. So in preambulatory clauses, we're just gonna say that like we're gonna address the things that happened in the past that still concerns this agenda. Like I've added the resolution in June 12 in 1968, which supports the draft text of the Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. And you can't put dot, like what is dot? You can't finish the sentence. You have to put comma when your what do you call that? When your
sentence finished?
Yeah, your sentence finished, you have to put comma until the very